What I'm going to talk about now is the clinical end-of-life care dashboard that has been developed for GP practices across the CCG. It's based on data that you and your community nursing colleagues and indeed your specialist palliative care colleagues enter on the template or read code in other ways, and it is fed back to your practice on a patient identifiable basis. My practice uses this for our end-of-life care register, which is automatically generated by the dashboard, and we go through patients individually, as I'll demonstrate in a moment, as part of the second aspect of QOF, which is the regular MDT meetings. This is available for any practice across the CCG. It does involve registering with this aspect of the end-of-life care data sharing project. Use Google Chrome rather than Internet Explorer, which is now becoming aged and doesn't work terribly well with the dashboard. This is the login, which of course will send to you when your practice has signed up, and will give you a username and a password at which you sign in. And this actually gives you access to all the dashboards. You'll be familiar with the urgent care dashboard, and it's these two that we're going to focus on here. In particular, it's this one, the end-of-life care practice dashboard. So this is the sort of landing page, if you will, for the clinical dashboard. And it presents some summary data here. So here we have the number of patients added to the register in the last 1, 0 to 3 and 6 months. The number of deaths in the practice as a whole. My practice has a large number of care homes, so we have a large number of deaths. This is the number of deaths who were on the end-of-life care register in those time periods. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. These are the percentages of deaths in whom the place of death has been logged, and these are the percentages of deaths in which both preferred place of death and place of death were logged. Here then is the gold standards framework red, amber, green rating. So it just happens at the moment that we have no red patients, i.e. days prognosis. And here's the percentage of the practice population on the register, total number of patients and our practice population. This gives you a bit of a summary. What I then do is I go on to this end-of-life care dashboard, which is for live patients. This one we can look at a moment, which is for deceased patients. So this is what it presents to you. Just to reassure you, it will give you patient names. These are anonymized, meaningless pseudonyms. They're not in any way patient identifiable. When they went onto the end-of-life care register, how long they've been on. In this case, we have only amber and green, whether they have cancer or non-cancer, whether the main life-limiting illness has been entered, whether there has been data entered about the current problem or anticipated problems, where they're living, patient awareness of prognosis, whether DNA CPR is in place, just scrolling across here, whether just in case meds have been issued, preferred place of death, care awareness of prognosis, DS 1500, whether that's been completed, and then we attach to that urgent care dashboard data as well. So for this patient down here, they've had 1 unscheduled care in the last week, 2 in the last 4 weeks, 1 in the last 5 to 13 weeks. So that to me would flag this patient is unstable, calling frequently out of hours. And what we do in my practice is we would go through these. You can use these menus here to say we just want to look at the red or the amber or the green, though it presents them in that order. Particularly useful for my practice is to select out, if you wanted, the nursing home patients. And so what it will do is it will now just present to us patients not in residential or nursing homes, patients on the end-of-life care register who are living in the community. Much smaller numbers, as you can see. Some actually haven't been GSF ranked there. But maybe we'll just stay with this one for the moment. So here is one who we've identified as being approaching the end of life care, and DNA CPR is a blank. So that either means no decision has been made, in which case that would stimulate a discussion in our team meeting about whose patient is that, would it be helpful and or timely or appropriate to have a conversation. I guess it could also mean that there has been a DNAR discussion and decision, but it simply hasn't been entered on the register. A number of these have not had just-in-case meds issued. General advice would be for red and amber patients, that would be normal practice, not necessarily for green, so that could be thought about. Where do they want to die? That's helpful information. Patients seem to be aware of their prognosis, which is important, but their lay carers frequently aren't here. That would be really useful to have that coded for out-of-hours services coming. We haven't thought about DS 1500 for some of these patients. In your practice, this would obviously be the full patient's name and NHS number. Clicking on this doesn't link you automatically to EMIS or System 1. What it would give you is a summary of the information that has been entered into the record that has been presented and summarised here. Going down to this end, this is the patient who lots of things has been happening. It sounds like there's a lot of instability. Clicking on that would give you access to the urgent care information that I won't dwell on anymore. So the way we use this in my practice is we talk through the patient's names one by one, starting with red, going on to amber. If time permits, we get down to the green. You can filter there if you want to. You can include or exclude residential and nursing home patients or by place where they're living. And you can also select by age band if you want to. So that gives you information that we use in our regular Gold Standards Framework meetings. There is a second dashboard here which presents to you patients who were on the end-of-life care register who died. So this is a way of your reviewing recently deceased patients for a little bit of a viewing recently deceased patients for an after-death review. So again, you would have patient name. So here is someone whose preferred place of death was a care home and they died in a nursing home. So they died in the preferred place of death. They had a DNA CPR, they had just-in-case meds. In my practice, we tend not to use the final tab of the end-of-life care template, which is about bereavement support and review after death. But this enables you to have a little bit of a look here. So here's someone who died in their preferred place of death. We didn't have just-in-case meds. We didn't have a DNA CPR in place. So that's reason for reflecting. This person preferred place of death was home. They died in a nursing home. It may be that their preference changed over time. It's an opportunity to reflect. Again, this can be done by residential and nursing home in terms of where they were living, and can be done by age band, and then you can select deaths, how recent you want to review those. So I think the main message is, by entering data into the template, not only does the information get shared across the health and social care system, as we've seen in the previous video, but it automatically generates your practice end-of-life care register. No need to keep separate spreadsheets or anything like that. It generates the agenda also for your QOF-related end-of-life care, palliative care review meetings. That, in summary, is the end-of-life care dashboard, or the clinical aspect of it. If you would like to have this in your practice, please contact the CCG. There's a data processing agreement for you to sign up to in order that the data can be processed on your behalf, and it will give you passwords and a username so that you can access this for your practice. If you have clinical questions in relation to this, please do contact myself, and our names and email addresses are shown here.